Some dueling warnings as protests rage in Iran. The U.S. threatening military action and Iranian leaders threatening the very same in response.
Iran's Revolutionary Guard says it is now at the highest level of preparedness. Its aerospace commander claims missile production has surged and that Iran is fully ready to respond to any attack.
Imagine you and I are standing in Tehran in 1979, not in a history book, but inside that raw moment where a proud nation finally says, enough. The kind of moment where people stop asking permission to exist on their own terms. The streets aren't just crowded, they're alive with a decision. This country will never again be managed like someone else's property. And that's what the Islamic Revolution was, not merely a change of leadership, but a total refusal of foreign control, oil politics, puppeteering, and that humiliating client-state arrangement dressed up as independence. Once a nation wins sovereignty like that, defending it isn't optional or seasonal. It becomes a permanent duty because the same forces that lost Iran in 1979 never truly stopped trying to get it back. Only their methods changed. Now bring that picture forward to today, because what you're watching right now, the arrests, the asset freezes, the security crackdown, is not some random show of power. In the Islamic Republic's worldview, it is the modern continuation of the revolution's central mission, protecting independence from being bargained away, sabotaged from within or manipulated from outside. It's the state drawing a line and saying we will not allow the revolution's core achievement to be turned into a negotiable commodity. And if you understand Iran's political memory, you understand why this is treated as sacred ground. When you've paid the price Iran has paid to stand on its own feet, you don't gamble that away because a loud campaign tries to dress destabilization up as freedom. Like and share this video to help me out. Subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you.
تو تمام کانال‌های اسرائیل عضویت داره، به خود نتانیاهو پیام داده. این نفر از طریق فضای سلطنت طلبی آشنا میشه با رژیم، به رژیم وصل میشه. همه اینا رو میگه همه اینا رو میگه، یعنی میگه من پیام دادم، فلان کردم، فلان کردم. عرضم به حضورش تو جنگ 12 روزه خیلی فعال بوده.
جنگ فکر میکنم نمیدونم، فکر کنم جنگ فلسطین و اینا بود، فکر کنم.
یعنی از زمانی که رژیم صهیونیستی علیه غزه شروع کرد شما از اون موقع شروع کردید؟
ایشون به 7 زبان زنده دنیا مسلطه.
نه مسلط نیستم.
بالاخره بلدی، آشنا، ایتالیایی بلده، هلندی بلده، آلمانی بلده، فرانسوی بلده.
هر کدوم بعضیش یک کمی کمتر. توی کانال‌های اسرائیل همشون عضو شدم.
که چی بشه؟ اسرائیل علیه غزه شروع کرد، شما خبرش بدین که چی بشه؟
چرت و پرت نوشتم. من کاری کردم که خودمو نمیتونم ببخشم. یه پیامم فرستادم.
برای کی؟ برای کی؟
نمیشه اسمشو نگم.
نه چرا؟ چه؟
بدترین آدم اسرائیل.
برای نتانیاهو پیام مستقیم فرستاد.
Let me tell you why this moment matters so much, speaking plainly. Iran is not naive about what unrest can become when hostile forces smell an opening. The state's argument is simple. Protests can be real, grievances can be real, but the danger explodes when those grievances get hijacked, when agitation turns into a coordinated attempt to fracture unity, paralyze governance, bait the country into chaos, and create the perfect environment for sanctions, isolation, sabotage, and escalation. That's not some abstract theory in Iran's mind, it's lived experience. Iran has seen infiltration, covert operations, engineered crises, and external destabilization attempts for generations. So, from this perspective, when the state moves hard, it's not panic, it's the posture of a country that refuses to be pushed back into dependency through internal disorder. And this is where names like Hassan Rouhani and Mohammad Javad Zarif become central, not because they are just ordinary political figures, but because they represent a mindset the revolutionary camp sees as structurally dangerous. In the eyes of those defending the revolution, Rouhani symbolizes the temptation to trade real sovereignty for Western approval. The promise always sounds polished: relief through negotiation, prosperity through compromise and moderation, and the pressure will stop. But the revolutionary camp's conclusion is that this approach invites pressure rather than ending it, because it teaches adversaries one lesson: Iran can be squeezed into concessions if you tighten the vice long enough. And that is exactly what Iran refuses to normalize. From this pro-Islamic Republic perspective, you don't build a nation's future on the signatures of powers that never accepted Iran's independence in the first place. And Zarif, let's talk about him the way the revolutionary camp talks about him. He is seen as the refined face of a project that tries to make Iran's legitimacy sound conditional, as if Iran needs to be validated by Western institutions to be respectable. That is the deep accusation, not simply that he negotiated, but that he helped normalize an attitude where Iran is always on trial, always auditioning, always trying to prove it deserves sovereignty. And from the revolutionary viewpoint, that is how psychological surrender begins, because once you accept that your independence must be certified by adversaries, you've already handed them leverage over your identity and decision-making. John Mearsheimer was up in arm with a great exposition
in Iran. So this is the story that you get in the West. But it's now become, I think, manifestly clear that this story is inaccurate. And this is what is going on in Iran is right from the U.S.-Israeli playbook on how to produce regime change. Now, what exactly am I saying here, Danny? We have basically a four-part strategy, and using the U.S. military is the fourth part of the strategy. But let me just quickly walk you through the first three elements of the strategy. The first element is that we put sanctions on a country and we wreck that country's economy. And we do all sorts of things to make the body populace in that country profoundly unhappy because they're suffering enormous costs. We're punishing them with these sanctions. This is what we did in Venezuela. This is what we did in Iran. So you want to remember when these people are protesting, right? They're protesting because of the terrible economic conditions. But who played the principal role in creating those terrible economic conditions? It is the United States of America. So that's the first step. Then the second step is we decide at some point that we're going to foment massive protests and we're going to fuel those massive protests. And this is what happened in Iran in late December of last year, December 2025. And there's all sorts of evidence now. There's a very famous piece that came out.
Now look at the crackdown through this same lens, and suddenly it becomes very clear why the state targets influence, money and networks. This is why the case of Mohammed Sardinia is treated as a warning sign, not a side story. Because in the Islamic Republic's worldview, wealth is not neutral during crisis. Wealth is logistics. Wealth is messaging. Wealth is transportation, shelter, organization, and the ability to turn emotion into infrastructure. A recognizable business brand isn't just coffee and storefronts, it's foot traffic, youth culture, social gathering points, and social reach. So, when a wealthy figure aligns his influence with agitation and disorder, the system reads it as a national security issue, not a harmless opinion. Freezing assets from this pro-government standpoint isn't cruelty, it's doctrine. You don't allow private fortunes to function as parallel power centers in a national emergency, and you don't allow anyone to bankroll disorder and then leave the public to pay the bill afterward. And that's exactly why satellite services like Starlink are not viewed as cute tech tools in Iran's security doctrine. They're viewed as an external communications layer that bypasses sovereignty. And let's be honest, a private US-linked satellite network inserting itself into a sovereign crisis is not charity, it is power, political power disguised as technology. From the pro-Islamic Republic angle, this is interference wearing a clean brand name. The question becomes, why should any foreign-linked network have the capacity to shape street-level coordination inside Iran during a destabilization attempt? If you believe foreign intelligence services exploit chaos, you don't leave a bypass channel wide open and then act surprised when it's used to deepen disorder. And this is where Iran's historical warning light starts flashing bright. 1953. Iran doesn't treat that as a distant story. It treats it as a permanent lesson written into national memory. The lesson is blunt. When Iran moves to reclaim control of its destiny, especially its resources, outside powers don't simply disagree. They intervene. They sabotage. They reshape outcomes. So, from the Islamic Republic's perspective, today's information warfare, funding pipelines, and satellite bypass systems are not new inventions. They are updated tools in an old playbook. The only difference is the packaging. So, when you ask why these arrests and crackdowns are framed as righteous, the answer in this worldview is straightforward, because the alternative is fragmentation. Because once you allow elite figures, politicians, diplomats, billionaires, to become rally points or enablers for destabilization, you create a repeating cycle where pressure produces unrest, unrest produces paralysis, paralysis invites solutions that align suspiciously well with foreign demands, and the country is gradually pushed back toward dependency. Iran's story is that it refuses to live inside that cycle. It refuses to let inside leverage become a tool for outside strategy. And if we're going to be completely honest in this friend-to-friend conversation, Iran's revolutionary camp has a very specific definition of betrayal. It isn't only espionage. It's the internal mindset that accepts dependency as normal. It's the class of people who treat foreign approval as the real currency of legitimacy. In the revolutionary narrative, that's how dignity gets sold quietly. Through narratives, through moderation branding, through the idea that Iran must be tamed to deserve peace. The revolution was the rupture that ended that humiliation. So when that mindset resurfaces in moments of crisis, it isn't treated as harmless debate. It's treated as a gateway for exploitation. And here's the insider truth in how states like Iran think. They don't see events as isolated waves. They see patterns, cycles, playbooks. They study how agitation is incubated, how narratives are seeded, how logistics are built, how foreign platforms amplify outrage, and how, after violence and chaos, the outside world tightens sanctions and isolation while offering off-ramps that conveniently weaken sovereignty. The Islamic Republic's entire posture is designed to break that cycle early. Not with applause, not with permission slips, but with deterrence. It's the system saying, do not attempt to build the next destabilization pipeline. Do not treat Iran as negotiable. So if you're watching from outside Iran and you're trying to understand why the state would defend actions that critics condemn, it comes down to one principle the Islamic Republic has never stopped repeating: sovereignty is expensive. If a nation insists on independence, it will be punished for it, economically, diplomatically, covertly, informationally. And when that confrontation tries to go internal, the state chooses survival over approval every single time. Continuity over applause. Control over vulnerability. Thank you for watching to this side. It means a lot to me. Subscribe to support honest journalism. Until the next one, God bless you.